All right, y'all, let's talk about something that's been flying a little under the radar, but could be a major game changer for the Lakers, and that's finding a real bucket getter off the bench. I mean, let's be honest, this team has the star power in the starting five, no doubt. You got Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, DeAndre Ayton. That group is solid and can definitely put up numbers. But what happens when the starters sit? What happens when you get to the second unit and the offense suddenly stalls because nobody can create for themselves? Now, I know the buzz lately has been around Malik Monk and Cam Thomas, two guys who, by all means, fit that mold of the guy who can just go get you 25 on any given night, no matter the matchup. And when we're talking about the Lakers, who've had this glaring hole in the bench production for years now, you can't just shrug at that. You got to at least pick up the phone. You got to make a call. Let's start with Malik Monk. Sacramento seems ready to part ways with him, almost like they're trying to hand him off for free. Word is they want to clear salary and open up a roster spot to bring in someone like Russell Westbrook, and Monk's contract becomes expendable in that situation. That's a rare opportunity. We're not talking about trading half your core or giving up multiple first-round picks. We're talking about a legit scorer becoming available just because his current team is looking to make space. That's the kind of moment smart teams jump on. Now, obviously, it's not as simple as just saying we'll take him. The mechanics of the trade would be tricky. Sacramento doesn't want to take back players, which means a third team might need to get involved. But that's the kind of front office creativity the Lakers need to start flexing. If you're serious about contending, you have to look at pieces like Malik Monk as more than just a luxury. That's not just a scorer. That's a stabilizer for your offense when the stars sit. And the same goes for Cam Thomas. That dude is a walking bucket. He doesn't need 10 touches to get hot. He just needs the green light. We've seen it. He can explode for 30 in a blink. The big question with Cam has always been, can he play off the ball? Can he contribute when Luka or LeBron is running the show? Because let's face it, not everyone can adapt to that role. It's easy to get buckets when you've got full control, but it's another thing to score efficiently when you're the third or fourth option. That's where Monk has a bit of an edge. He's played alongside high-usage guys like De'Aaron Fox. He's played with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and he still finds ways to be effective. That's what the Lakers need. Because when you take a look at this current Lakers bench, and, really take a look, what do you see? Defense, hustle, energy, all great things, but not a whole lot of shot creation. Jake LaRavia might show flashes. He's young, he's got some tools, and maybe he develops into that role. But you can't go into the season betting your bench offense on maybe. Same with Dalton Connect. He's got some offensive juice, no doubt. But Summer League didn't exactly boost confidence in his consistency. Are the Lakers really counting on him to carry that second unit scoring load? That's a gamble. And then there's Rui Hachimura. Now Rui is interesting because we know he can score. We've seen him go on tiers. He's got a smooth mid-range game. He's got the size to bully smaller defenders. And when he's confident, he's dangerous. But lately, it feels like he's been pigeonholed into this catch-and-shoot role, standing in the corner, waiting for a kick-out three. That's not who Rui is. He's a scorer. He's a rhythm guy. And maybe the best way to unlock that is by moving him to the bench and letting him lead the second unit. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Rui, coming off the bench, could be a weapon. You call his number, let him cook in a mid-post, let him work mismatches, and suddenly your bench unit has a guy that opposing second units can't guard. That's what you want. You want to tilt the matchup in your favor. Instead of Rui floating around the perimeter, have him attacking from the elbow, using that soft touch he's got. That might be his ideal role. But then the question becomes, are the Lakers willing to shake up the rotation like that? Would they move Rui to the bench? Would they ever consider bringing Austin Reeves off the bench? That last one feels unlikely. Reeves has become such a staple in the starting five, but from a balance standpoint, it could make a lot of sense. You'd be spreading your offense across both units, keeping pressure on the defense for all 48 minutes. Still, I get it. Moving Reeves to the bench isn't going to be a popular idea. That's why Rui might be the more realistic option. And if he embraces that sixth-man role, look out. You could be looking at a legitimate sixth man of the year candidate, especially if he gets the volume. The key here is balance. The Lakers have plenty of defense on the bench, Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, maybe even Bronny in limited minutes. But offense? That's where the cracks show. Once you get past Jake LaRavia, the scoring drops off fast. And sure, in an ideal world, your starters are lighting it up every night. But that's not sustainable. One off night from Luka or LeBron, and suddenly the game's in the hands of guys who can't create their own shot. That's not a winning formula. That's why I keep coming back to the idea of adding a true scorer off the bench. Not a volume guy like Jordan Clarkson, who needs 20 shots to get going and doesn't really move without the ball. I'm talking about someone who can play on or off the ball, someone who can knock down a catch-and-shoot three, but also create something from nothing when the play breaks down. That's what Malik Monk can do. That's what Cam Thomas has shown flashes of. And I know people are going to ask, do the Lakers really need to make a move right now? Or should they just wait and see how the roster gels during training camp and the early season? And honestly, I don't mind that approach either. There's a chance that someone like LaRavia steps up. Maybe Dalton Connect figures things out and becomes that consistent bench scorer. Maybe Jared Vanderbilt suddenly starts hitting threes and earns his way into the starting lineup, pushing Rue to the bench by default. There's always the chance that internal development solves the problem naturally. But here's the thing. Why wait if an opportunity presents itself? Why not be proactive instead of reactive? If Sacramento is really trying to dump Malik Monk, and all it takes is a salary swap and a third team to make it happen, why not explore that? If you're Rob Pelinka and you see a path to get a guy like Monk without giving up any key pieces, that's a no-brainer. You get your scorer, you open up a roster spot, maybe you even save some cap down the line. It's the kind of win-win deal that great teams take advantage of. Imagine this scenario. The Lakers ship out a guy like Gabe Vincent in a three-team deal. Maybe send a young piece like Connect or Carter to a rebuilding team like the Nets. And in return, they get Malik Monk. Sacramento clears their space. The Nets get some youth to develop. And the Lakers walk away with exactly what they need. That's what front office maneuvering is supposed to look like. A guy who can be your microwave scorer, who gives you 15 to 20 off the bench, who can survive next to stars or cook with the second unit. That's the kind of player who makes a difference in tight playoff games. When your starters are gassed, when LeBron needs a rest, when Luka gets a night off, you need someone who can carry the load, even just for a few stretches. That's the gap the Lakers have to fill if they want to be serious title contenders. And let's not forget, this whole discussion around sixth men, scoring options, and second unit stability, it's not just about numbers. It's about trust. It's about having guys on your bench who you can actually put into high-leverage moments without worrying about the entire offense falling apart. That's what separates the real contenders from the rest. You look at the Nuggets, the Celtics, the Bucks, those teams have depth. When a starter sits, they don't panic. They plug in the next guy and keep rolling. The Lakers? Not so much last season. It always felt like the moment LeBron or Reeves left the floor, everything became this awkward scramble just to generate a decent look. That's not how you win in the postseason. That's not how you survive those back-to-back games in February when your stars are resting. You need that guy who can settle things. Someone who can take pressure off the starters and actually swing the momentum when they check in. Malik Monk has done that before. In fact, he did it for the Lakers not too long ago. That chemistry is already there. You saw how well he played off LeBron. You saw the confidence he brought when he knew the team trusted him with the ball in his hands. There's real value in that familiarity. He's not some stranger you're throwing into a system and hoping he figures it out. He's been here. He knows what it takes. Cam Thomas is a bit more of a wild card. He's got all the scoring tools, no question. But the fit is a little more speculative. Does he buy into the role? Does he embrace being that spark off the bench? Or is he expecting a starting spot and 35 minutes a night? That's the gamble. That's what the Lakers would have to figure out if that opportunity ever materializes. But even then, you can't deny his talent. He's got that irrational confidence that all great scorers have. You don't want a guy coming off the bench hesitating. You want someone who's aggressive, who's hunting mismatches, who knows he can take over for 5 or 6 minutes at a time and swing the game. Now, of course, this all hinges on how the rest of the roster performs. Let's say Jake LaRavia comes into training camp and suddenly looks like a whole different player. He's knocking down threes, putting the ball on the deck, locking up on defense, In that case, maybe you don't need to go out and get someone like Monk or Thomas. Maybe the answer was already on your roster. And that's the beauty of this situation. The Lakers have options. They don't need to act out of desperation, but they do need to act with intention. They need to be watching everything. Because as the season starts to unfold and players either rise or fall, you've got to be ready to pivot. Let's say LaRavia doesn't develop. Let's say Rui is still playing out of rhythm with the starters and the bench is struggling again. That's when the window opens. That's when you pick up the phone and you start making calls. And again, it's not about making some massive splash. It's about addressing a real, specific hole in the roster. You need offensive punch off the bench. Plain and simple. And speaking of Rui, look, I don't think enough people realize just how effective he can be when used correctly. This guy was a walking mismatch during stretches last season. He's got one of the smoothest mid-range shots in the league. His footwork has gotten better every year. When he's confident, when he's in rhythm, he can punish smaller defenders in the post, he can shoot over guys with ease, and he's not afraid of the moment. That's exactly the type of player you want leading your bench unit. But if he's just standing around in the corner while Luka or LeBron isolate to the top, what's the point? You're wasting his skill set. That's why I keep coming back to this idea of making Rui the focal point of the second unit. Let him get his touches. Let him get into rhythm early. Call plays for him. Let him be the go-to guy for that group. Because when you do that, suddenly your bench has an identity. You're not just running generic sets hoping someone bails you out. You're actually building around a player who can carry the load in stretches. That also opens things up for the other guys. If Rui is commanding defensive attention, suddenly Jake LaRavia is getting cleaner looks from three. Suddenly Gabe Vincent or whoever else is out there can attack closeouts with more space. That's what happens when you have a scorer on the floor. Everything becomes easier for everyone else. And that's what the Lakers have been missing off the bench. Someone who draws gravity. Someone the defense actually has to respect. Now, if you add someone like Monk into that mix, that changes everything. Now you've got Rui and Monk coming off the bench together. Two legit scoring threats. One can play off the ball, the other can run some ISO, both can score in bunches. That's the kind of 1-2 punch that can flip a game when the starters sit. That's how you build a bench unit that doesn't just survive, it wins you games. And that matters. Because again, if the Lakers are serious about making a title run, you can't just rely on Luka, LeBron, and Austin to carry the scoring load every single night. That's not sustainable. You need other guys who can step in when those stars are tired or off. You need that balance. And right now, the Lakers don't have it. Not yet. Now, we could talk about other names, too. Maybe it's not Monk. Maybe it's not Cam. Maybe someone like DeAnthony Melton becomes available and can bring a little scoring and some two-way ability. Maybe someone gets bought out mid-season and suddenly there's a name out there who fits perfectly. The point is, the Lakers need to be prepared. They need to be ready to strike when the time is right. Not just waiting around hoping their bench figures it out. I'm not saying blow everything up. I'm not saying make a panic trade. But if you see an opportunity to make this team more complete, you take it. Especially if you can do it without giving up any of your core pieces. You've already got your big guns in place. Now it's about building around them, complementing their skill sets, and filling in the gaps. And this idea of balance, it doesn't just apply to the bench. It applies to the starting five, too. Because right now, it feels like 4 of the 5 starting spots are locked in. Luka, Reeves, LeBron, and Ayton. That 5th spot is still kind of up in the air. Is it Rui? Is it Vanderbilt? Is it LaRavia? Maybe even Marcus Smart, depending on what happens in camp. That's the battle to watch. Whoever wins that final starting role, the domino effect matters. If Rui wins it, then you need to address bench scoring. If someone like Vanderbilt steps up and locks down that role, and Rui moves to the bench, then maybe the problem solves itself. Same if LaRavia makes a leap. But if none of those guys really take ownership of that role, then the Lakers need to be aggressive in finding that piece, either via trade, free agency, or the buyout market later in the year. There's also the possibility that injuries or load management force your hand. Maybe Luka sits a few games. Maybe LeBron takes a week off. That's when you really feel the lack of bench scoring. That's when you realize how top-heavy your offense is. And that's why you plan ahead. That's why you don't just cross your fingers and hope the young guys develop. You need insurance. Someone like Monk gives you that. Someone like Cam Thomas gives you that. Not just a scorer, but a guy who can star in a pinch, a guy who can give you 20+ if the matchup calls for it. That's what the Lakers need. That's what they've needed for years now. Think about it. Who was the last true sixth man for the Lakers that struck fear into opposing teams? Who was the last bench player that other teams had to game plan for? It's been a while. That's not a luxury anymore. That's a necessity, because the West is stacked. Every playoff team is deep. You can't just rely on star power. You need a full roster. You need options. And here's the thing. Even if you bring in Monk or Thomas or whoever, that doesn't mean your young guys don't get a chance. It doesn't mean LaRavia or Connect are getting buried. It means they get to develop at a pace that's healthy. They get to grow without being thrown into the fire every night. That's how you build long-term success. You don't just throw rookies into major roles and pray they survive. You let them learn behind veterans. You let them earn their minutes. That's the formula. So as training camp approaches and the Lakers start putting the pieces together, this is the conversation that needs to be had. Not just who's starting, but who's stabilizing the second unit. Who's the guy we trust when the stars need a breather? Who's going to give us 10 to 15 points without needing to be spoon-fed every possession? Who's going to give his team real depth? That's the difference between being good and being great. Between being a playoff team and being a title team. Between being exciting in October and still playing in June. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, explosive rumors have been circulating through the corridors of the NBA world this week, shaking the basketball universe to its core, as sources close to the matter suggest that Karl-Anthony Towns, the Minnesota Timberwolves superstar center, may soon be calling Los Angeles home, specifically the Los Angeles Lakers, a franchise that has historically been synonymous with high-profile trades, championship ambitions, and media frenzy. Insiders whisper about the intricate negotiations that might have taken place behind closed doors, involving multiple teams, draft picks, and perhaps even players whose names have long been staples in Lakers lineups. The Lakers, after a season that left fans both exhilarated and frustrated, are allegedly eager to bring a transformative presence into their roster, someone capable of not only scoring at will, but also providing a versatile defensive presence. Towns, known for his ability to stretch the floor with three-point shooting while also dominating in the paint, fits a profile that seems almost tailor-made for the Lakers' evolving strategy. The excitement is palpable across social media platforms, with fans dissecting every possible implication, from how Towns' addition might shift LeBron James' role to how the team's chemistry could change. And the rumor mills are working overtime, feeding a sense of anticipation that could redefine the Lakers' ambitions for the upcoming season. Analysts are already speculating on how the presence of a player like Towns could influence the Western Conference standings and playoff dynamics, suggesting that the Lakers might suddenly become an almost unstoppable force with a versatile big man anchoring both offense and defense. The buzz is so intense that even casual fans, who normally follow games only sporadically, are now paying attention, sharing theories and debating the possible ramifications, creating an atmosphere where every social media post, news clip, or insider hint is scrutinized with extreme attention. If the trade comes to fruition, it could signal not just a strategic shift for the Lakers, but also a broader transformation in the NBA landscape, where power teams are constantly seeking to outmaneuver each other through high-stakes acquisitions. The speculation alone has driven merchandise sales, social media engagement, and even betting odds, reflecting how influential such a move could be in shaping public perception, team branding, and the economic ripple effects associated with superstar transactions in professional basketball. With every report, the rumor grows, expanding its reach beyond sports media into mainstream news, suggesting that the potential signing of Towns by the Lakers is becoming less of a hypothetical scenario and more of an inevitability that everyone is eagerly waiting to witness unfold. While concrete details remain shrouded in mystery, the buzz surrounding Karl-Anthony Towns' potential move to Los Angeles has stirred conversations not only among fans, but also within league circles. where insiders are trying to piece together what could be a monumental shift in team dynamics. Discussions focus heavily on the Lakers' motivation behind pursuing Towns so aggressively, speculating that the franchise sees him as the missing puzzle piece capable of complementing existing stars while elevating the team to championship contention. Towns' scoring ability, combined with his rebounding and defensive versatility, makes him an attractive candidate for a franchise seeking dominance on both ends of the court. Conversations among coaches, commentators, and former players revolve around the strategic implications of such a move, highlighting how Towns could stretch defenses with his perimeter shooting, while also commanding attention in the paint, thus creating opportunities for his teammates and fundamentally altering offensive schemes. Furthermore, whispers about the behind-the-scenes negotiation tactics, such as possible salary cap maneuvers, potential player exchanges, and draft pick swaps, have fueled speculation about how intricate and delicate these discussions might be. Fans have flooded forums with theories, ranging from how the addition of Towns could elevate the Lakers' playoff seeding to how it might disrupt existing chemistry and require adjustments in leadership roles. Social media has become a hotbed of predictions, memes, and debates, reflecting the intensity of the rumor and the deep desire for confirmation or denial. Journalists and insiders are reportedly receiving tip-offs and conflicting reports, which only adds to the frenzy, keeping audiences hooked and eager for every tiny revelation. Amidst this whirlwind of speculation, the potential acquisition of Karl-Anthony Towns by the Los Angeles Lakers has ignited an entire ecosystem of discussion, ranging from tactical basketball implications to larger narratives about team identity and the evolving landscape of player mobility. Towns, a player whose career has been defined by impressive versatility and elite skill, could serve as both a tactical asset and a marketing phenomenon, revitalizing the Lakers roster while also attracting global attention to one of the most storied franchises in sports history. Sources hint that the Lakers management may be weighing the risk-reward calculus intensely, considering factors such as team salary cap, roster balance, and the cultural fit within the locker room, knowing full well that signing a superstar can sometimes yield unintended consequences if not managed carefully. Meanwhile, social media chatter continues to grow exponentially, with fans speculating on everything from jersey numbers and nickname possibilities to lineup adjustments and playoff scenarios. Podcasts, sports shows, and online forums are devoting entire segments to imagining how Towns could impact not only the Lakers' regular season performance, but also their potential playoff run, especially in the highly competitive Western Conference. Beyond basketball, the rumor has captured attention in mainstream media, where the narrative of a high-profile superstar migration fuels storylines about ambition, legacy, and the constant quest for supremacy in professional sports. Betting markets are reportedly responding as well, with odds fluctuating in real time as new hints, leaks, or denials emerge, reflecting how rumors alone can influence economic and fan behavior. The pervasive conversation has even reached the point where analysts debate minute details, such as Towns' fit alongside LeBron James' playing style, the potential redistribution of scoring responsibilities, and defensive strategies to maximize his effectiveness. Ultimately, this frenzy underscores a larger truth about professional basketball. Superstar acquisitions are not merely transactions. They are cultural events, capable of reshaping narratives, redefining rivalries, and inspiring passionate engagement from audiences worldwide. In this sense, the Lakers' rumored pursuit of Towns is emblematic of both the thrill and unpredictability that define the modern NBA, illustrating how a single player can become the axis around which entire seasons, fan expectations, and media cycles revolve. Rumors swirling around Karl-Anthony Towns' possible transition to the Los Angeles Lakers have taken on a life of their own, creating an almost palpable tension in the air as fans, analysts, and insiders attempt to decode cryptic signals, partial leaks, and strategic hints that could confirm or deny the speculation. Every subtle gesture, from Towns' social media activity to statements by Lakers executives, is being scrutinized for hidden meaning, feeding a feedback loop of rumor and anticipation that shows no sign of abating. Industry insiders suggest that if the trade were to materialize, the Lakers would instantly become a frontrunner in the championship race, thanks to Towns' unique combination of height, shooting ability, and mobility, which could potentially change defensive and offensive strategies league-wide. The excitement is compounded by the narrative possibilities, as fans eagerly imagine how a player of Towns' caliber would mesh with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and other key contributors, while critics raise questions about chemistry, injuries, and adaptation periods. Furthermore, the financial implications of such a blockbuster move are substantial, affecting salary structures, endorsement deals, and franchise valuations, all of which are under intense scrutiny as rumors continue to proliferate. Every mention of Towns' name in news reports, podcasts, or social media posts seems to intensify speculation, transforming ordinary basketball discourse into a near-obsessive phenomenon where even minor details can generate viral conversation. Analysts are also considering the broader consequences for other NBA teams, as the ripple effect of adding a player like Towns to a team of the Lakers' stature could inspire defensive strategies, trade adjustments, and competitive recalibrations across the league. The social and cultural impact of the rumor cannot be overstated, as communities of fans form alliances, debates flare up, and anticipation builds to a fever pitch, all fueled by the tantalizing prospect of one player dramatically shifting the balance of power. In essence, the Towns-Lakers buzz has transcended typical sports commentary, evolving into a phenomenon where speculation itself becomes a form of entertainment, drawing global attention and transforming ordinary fan engagement into a multi-layered cultural event that highlights the intersection of athletic performance, media dynamics, and fandom. As the days progress, whispers regarding Karl-Anthony Towns' potential move to the Los Angeles Lakers continue to intensify, infiltrating not only sports networks but also mainstream discourse, as the sheer scale of the speculation seems to rival the significance of the move itself. Conversations among basketball strategists emphasize Towns' versatility, noting his ability to dominate the paint while simultaneously threatening defenses from beyond the arc, a skill set that could unlock previously untapped potential within the Lakers roster. Meanwhile, fan communities have turned social media into a hive of discussion, generating memes, hypothetical lineups, and endless debates about whether Towns would be the definitive piece to complement LeBron James' late career dominance and Anthony Davis's defensive prowess. The rumor also raises questions about the future trajectory of other teams in the Western Conference, as rivals assess the potential recalibration of power dynamics and contemplate strategic responses, including defensive schemes and trade adjustments. Economically, the speculation itself has implications, influencing ticket sales, merchandise demand, and even sponsorship negotiations, highlighting how superstar rumors can translate into tangible business outcomes. The pervasive nature of the chatter underscores a fascinating aspect of modern sports culture. The rumor becomes a shared social experience, uniting fans, media outlets, and analysts in a collective anticipation of what might unfold. The story has expanded beyond basketball alone, feeding narratives about ambition, fame, and the transformative impact of singular talent on institutional identity. In this environment, even the smallest piece of news, a cryptic tweet, or a subtle comment from an insider is magnified, intensifying excitement, anxiety, and hope among audiences. Ultimately, the buzz around Towns and the Lakers represents not just a potential roster move, but a cultural phenomenon that exemplifies how contemporary sports narratives thrive on suspense, speculation, and the promise of unprecedented moments that redefine teams, careers, and entire leagues. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.